Hello everyone, welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. This week we dive into all things spirit again and what energetic boundaries are, how to set them, and how they're very important, especially during these busy Christmas seasons and when we're starting to kind of integrate into social situations again. How important it is to actually protect our energy. So we have a lot of fun talking all about that and so much more. So thank you for tuning in this week, and grab your coffee or tea, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. Myself, Lisa Richmond, and Ginette and Elyse meet every Friday, and we are the channelers and the mediums from Avalon Spirit. And we meet on Fridays for Spirit Coffee Talk, where we enjoy our coffee or tea and just talk about the energies of the week and essentially anything that's come up for any of us. And we kind of talk everything life and spirit. So welcome and thank you for joining us this week. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hello, hello.
So
How
how
are
have you
you?
been feeling this
Yeah,
week?
that's
Mixed
what I was gonna
emotions.
say.
It's a mixed bag this week for sure.
It is a mixed bag. I would agree. I like how you guys have like bright colors and I've got black.
Yeah, but I've got black around me and you've got like, you know what I mean?
Fair, fair.
It's like a yin and a yang thing happening. Anyway.
Yeah, true, actually. Um, Elise, how have you been feeling? How's your week been energetically?
My week, it's felt intense. I've also been very like life busy. So I've kind of been like blinders on, mentally preparing for that. And even before we logged on, I was like, okay, I'm going to pull some cards and just be like, is it me, or is it the energies? Is it because I've been really busy and just kind of doing life stuff? And basically, it was like, I asked, around why things were a little quieter for me. And it came up around, stability, knowledge. There's a lot of chaos going on, just kind of staying grounded in day to day. So for me, that's been kind of on the quiet side. And I know we were kind of chatting about earlier that a lot of people are talking about dreams. A couple of people have reached out to me with some like kind of icky dreams, if I'm honest, like intense and icky dreams. I haven't had them, I think, because I'm just dead to the world when I go to sleep. Like nothing to penetrate because I am no longer conscious at all.
They have been extremely vivid for people. I've heard that tons this week, is that people are having like very vivid dreams. Hey?
High potential for warping in them too. And when I say warping, like it can be like a huge warp where like someone in your dream who is say usually really friendly and kind suddenly is so mean and rude.
Mm.
Or it can be warping that like the dream can't follow a single timeline and you just have no idea what's going on
Right.
in there. Or it can even warp your ability to like speak or run or do like you can't do anything in your dream.
And don't you feel like that is such a representation, though? Think about it in like dream analysis kind of thing. Is all of those is like kind of this like representation of this sense of like out of control, let's say, or like inability to really take control or use the voice or grab control. And it seems like, well, for the past like year and a half, almost 2 years, it's been a sense of having to adjust to a new normal, having this loss of control, but trying to have control in your life when you don't really feel it. Like we've talked about that. And I think that with this big shift of energy that's happening, and there's a lot happening, as people adjust, these are the kind of things that are coming up and out of their system, like, so when it comes up in dream form, it's like it's ready to be acknowledged. It's not like buried so deep. So I think with a lot of that, like where somebody's like going to do something but they can't speak, or they're lost and they're trying to find their way, and like someone who they think they can trust all of a sudden turns their back. It's like all of these representations of this lack of control. Does that resonate?
Mhm. I think
Mhm.
that's definitely part of it. I think there's also, I mean, that's a great point. And I think what's being played on that also is this like peskiness in 4D. Like if we're not setting the intent right now for dream state to be in 5D or higher, then we're getting like caught up in the whirlwind of 4D where there's everything and anything going on. Like the
Totally.
mixed bag is 4D and it's being like shaken around too.
Totally. Because
Yeah.
when it comes back in this feedback loop, when you go into that fourth dimensional kind of frequency where everything's a little bit pesky and musky, you know, it's not like this super high vibe area.
Mhm.
It can come along and it can re-trigger you, but then you don't really do anything with it. And then it just kind of is a dream that bothers you. And then
Mhm.
you kind of internalize it until you have another dream that kind of represents the same type of thing, right? And it's
Yeah.
almost like catches you in this like funky feedback loop, right? So we were kind of talking about before we started on how you can go to bed and set an intention that your dreams either like don't signify to say like I need to take a dream break and I'm just going to be like solid out 3D sleeping, brain asleep. And you can ask your guides and your higher self and spirit to help with that. And also if you're like, if I'm needing to work through something or I'm to see something in the highest light, please bring it to me in this fifth dimensional frequency or higher so that I can see it in the light versus the pesky or the dark feedback. You know what I mean? Let me see this lesson or this opportunity in in the light.
Mhm.
You know, so let me bypass the pesky fourth dimensional frequency right into fifth, right? And I think for people, you just wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think to do that, right? But it works. Hey?
Yeah, it does.
That's the one really beautiful thing about the energetic world is that as we set boundaries as humans with our day-to-day relationships, we can set the same boundaries with anything spiritual, right? It's like, don't come into my room, don't bother me when I'm sleeping, not when I'm out in public, like whatever it is for you that you do or don't want, you're able to set those boundaries. And
Totally. And Elyse, you were saying like I had to have a super 3D week because
yeah.
I'm super busy. My schedule's packed. So you're like, I'm putting a lot of the messages and the channels and stuff to the side for a sec because I got to take care of some business here. And like setting those boundaries are huge.
Yeah.
You know, and I think too with the boundaries, it's okay when you're in the state of like chaos or too much or overwhelm. It's okay to set several rigid boundaries.
Mm.
Like, because I know some people are like, well, I mean, I'm asking for peace. And I'm like, well, what do you want it to look like? Like, you can get detailed in it and you can have like a rollout page if you want, right? Like a roll call of boundaries of how it's going to work. Like, you can have whatever amount of rigidity you need to bring you peace. And then as you kind of settle into that peace over a series of days or weeks or months, even, then you'll start to require less and less and less and less and
Totally.
less. And I think for people that are really feeling put out and super stressed, even in dream state, make it detailed. Like, do what is needed to bring you that peace point so you can sleep and rest and then recalibrate and then do it again.
Make your boundaries detailed.
Yeah.
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 Like day and night before you go out into the world, you can make your boundaries. I'm not going to take on anybody's vibe. I'm putting a white light around myself, so I'm not absorbing any of the fear energy. I'm not absorbing anybody else's stuff. And this is to all like you empaths out there who knows how it feels to literally wear energy like it's your own and you don't even hardly know the difference, right? You can make that boundary before you leave the house.
And that's a good point. And I like completely forgot about this. So it's been the second half of the week has been really what's been intense for me. So like Wednesday onwards, just really, really busy. And Wednesday night, we went to a concert, and it's the first concert I've been to in 2 years. The last concert, I'm pretty sure the last concert I went to was the same guy 2 years ago, 2019 November. And I was out, and it was just so strange being in a big crowd of people and like being out in the world, and everybody's got their masks and da 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 da. And you're hearing live music for the first time in 2 years, which for me, like music is deeply energetic, and words and songs, like they just deeply resonate with me.
I didn't know that about you.
Oh yeah. I just like, I love lyrics, and I get
energy in it.
Totally. And I just get so like, even if I'm listening to a song and John will be talking because he's a chatty Cathy, I'm like, shh, just
listen. Can you hear? I always do that. No, shh, listen to what they're saying.
Like, I'm going to restart the song now.
Yeah.
Totally.
You got to start it over. You didn't hear what he said.
Yeah, you didn't hear the best part. So we're at this concert and it was already like pretty energetically intense. And also like from a human perspective, I was a little overwhelmed because I'm like, I'm exhausted already. I know I've got these 2 extra long days ahead of me after this concert. It was a late night, but we're sitting there and we're listening to this music and it was City and Color. And he is just like,
Dallas Green.
he is literal music perfection. Like I love him.
Do you know Dallas Green, Ginette?
I know of his music. Yeah. Yeah.
His voice is just incredible. And it's like haunting. And so we're watching it. It's at the Jubilee, which is like amazing sound. And I was sitting there and I don't know what it was, if it was like pesky energies or things, but I was like being pulled out of my body. And I kept thinking like, am I just really tired right now? And then I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't think that's what it is. And I kept like, I was sitting there and I feel like if John had like looked over, I would have been like, totally out of it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and there's
really into this.
Yeah. And there's like a stranger next to me and I'm like, look normal. And I was trying to kind of ask like, what's going on? What is this? But because I was already so like physically human drained, I just had to be like, enough. Like, get out of my space, because I'm either going to like pass out on this guy next to me who doesn't know me. He probably thinks I have Rona, or I'm like, I need to just like be here, or I'm going to fall asleep or something. So I needed to set a really hard boundary of like, whatever this is, I don't know. I'm not getting it
in my body.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I am here watching this music, listening to this music. You need to leave me alone. Because
So do you think it was because of the outside energies and because you're so sensitive to energies and it's been a long time since you've been in a big group? So all of a sudden your energy was being like pulled from you because of the group. That's an interesting thing. I think people wouldn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And now that more and more groups are getting together for different things, people have to be aware that this is a real thing, because we've been, by ourselves or with our family or small groups. Yeah. All of a sudden we're going into these large groups again. And I mean, I would imagine the general population, the people who are watching this right now, can identify with that, because have that like that empathic self where you can really feel energy and others' energy. So that's a really interesting thing, because it's like we're trying to like deal with so many different things, but then integration back into like society just with, and that's not something we talk about every day, but that's a real thing.
Totally.
So then did you have to come home and kind of like cleanse yourself of the excess energy that was, or did you do that there?
Well, and so they're actually just telling me too that part of the issue that I was having was it was the polarity. So for those who don't know, like Dallas Green, City and Color is the band. It's very like emotional, mellow, kind of emo, like chill, folky music. And so
I haven't heard that word in so long.
Me either.
What?
Sorry.
Emo. I haven't heard the emo word in so long.
Yeah.
Can you describe what emo is? Please,
emo's like emotional, like kind of punk, but his is very chill music. So it's like very emotional emo music.
Emo is emotionally kind of music that jars emotions. Yeah.
And so like there's a kind of vibe at concerts like that, right? Where everybody's like pretty chill, like it's at the Jubilee, which is like plays and ballet and stuff. Like it's not a like rock out concert.
Yeah.
But so it was interesting because that was the general vibe. But then there was people there that were like super drunk, super loud, screaming, like really intense. And like every time he would stop singing, they'd be like, "We love you." And it was getting to the point where you could feel people being like, "Go away." And there was this polarity happening in it. And even John and I were talking like, what are they doing? Like, this isn't the concert to be like,
this is an intimate night with Dallas Green. This is not your frat party. Go away.
But I think honestly, that was some of the energy that was impacting me. And so in that moment, I had to be like, okay, enough. And then when we got home, I noticed I was like grumpy and I was kind of tired. And even though we had a really nice night, I just felt like, ugh. And so in that moment, I just like went to bed because I was like, I don't even have like the emotional or mental wherewithal right now to do anything about this. But then the next morning I was like, okay, in the shower, I was like, cleanse and get rid of it off the body, like really kind of get rid of it, because it was really intense from the perspective of, like you were saying, Lisa, being at home for so long and then all of a sudden being out in public in this like big crowd, the polarities that were happening that I think we're also obviously seeing in the world. And yeah, it was just a really interesting experience.
You know what's so neat, Elyse, is that this week, like 4 of my clients that I talked to, this came up. It was about setting energetic boundaries of how to make sure that you set yourself up in an energetic field before you leave the house so that you're not absorbing others' energy. So like picture your aura, your energy field, and then it's almost like you put this like energy like shield around you, this white light, and then that the energy can absorb other energies because as empaths we naturally absorb them without even realizing that they're not ours. And then all of a sudden it's like and then you can pick it up when you go to these big events and things that are opening again. So I've talked to people and said, like, try to get into a practice. It's like self-care to try and practice, like even getting like a skin brush and or just being like, okay, I'm releasing anything, or standing in the shower and just like feeling like you're actually brushing off the excess outside energy that doesn't belong to you or your aura. And it's like you're like you brush it out, you know, like brushing it out.
Yeah.
And it's like you do it in the evenings when you're brushing your teeth or something that's like you can try to get in the habit, and it'll just like feel like that residue is being lifted off, or you kind of feel that freedom because we're starting to be more social again. We're starting to go in larger groups and places. So that's kind of a neat, yeah.
You know, and I think that applies too, though, with the same with what's happening. Like the timeliness is interesting, and I always find this interesting when events align with the stars, like how astrology plays into everything. Like we've stepped into Sagittarius, so now we're in a fire sign again. Like action potentials, fiery stuff, impulsiveness, reactions, but also passion and creativity and determination. So we can be really choosy in how we react and interact with that energy happening right now because yes, we are having more events, more people, so we're more exposed to energies. That's one thing, but we also have like Christmas shopping and Christmas crowds, which have their own hub of energy no matter what. But then we're re-emerging, like you were saying, Lisa, into a fiery energy at Christmas time with the different things, and we've been out of it for a long time.
Yeah.
We have to be really thoughtful and choosy of what we want, just like what's happening in dream state in a sense too is really action potential. And you talked about a frat party kind of vibe at this concert. I have been having these like frat party vibe dreams where I'm stuck. I literally had one where I was stuck at this college frat party on the whole campus, and I was thinking, what am I doing here? And there was like, it was just standard stereotypical drunkenness everywhere, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to be here.
Why am I here?
Why am I here? Right? And like all of this going on, so it's this funny energy thing happening on many levels. But the more I became choosy with what I wanted to be a part of, even in dream state, and like I've done when I've been out Christmas shopping, I'm like earbuds in, happy music on,
Totally.
good vibes. Like
I have like meditation music playing in my ears when I'm in the mall.
Yeah.
Crystal bowls.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's really important that we be choosy right now. Like again, that detailed boundary list if you need to make it.
Yeah.
Doing the things you need to, reinforce your own energy or clear your energy or shift it or like know when you're done. Like for you, Elyse, you came home from that concert and you're like, I gotta go to bed. Like I just need to sleep. No clearing, like sleep first, right? Just like really being conscious of how you're feeling and then choosing what you do, because then we don't pile stuff on top of other stuff on top of other stuff, which leads to this massive blow up that really wasn't about one thing in particular. It was several annoying things that didn't actually need the whole blow up and then whatever that cost.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like not for this week, but in the weeks to come, doing like tuning in on the energy of December and the intensity of it, because as I'm sitting here listening and Ginette, you brought up the like holiday season and everything that, the intensity that brings. And I started thinking like, there's a lot of people that I know, and even my dad being one of them who, passed away in December a couple years ago. And this time of year was always awful for him. Like he had some mental illness and some things going on, but there's certain people that I can really think of that it's like this time of year is so triggering and it can be, I think, for a lot of like 3D reasons, but I'm getting a sense that there's an energy or like a kind of energetic purpose behind it that I would be curious to tune in, because it's like, it's a real polarizing time. It's like, even for me, when I think of this time of year, it's like one of my favorite times. And I have some of the worst memories and like the hardest things in this time.
Are they talking to you, Ginette?
No.
Oh.
No.
No, they're not.
Okay. They are for me, big time.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
What are
So,
they saying?
pardon me?
What are they saying?
Okay.
I'm
This is interesting because okay, so they're really breaking this down as such an ability for us to see things so blatantly obvious. Like Ginette, your dreams about the frat, it's like you're not here because you're no longer here. So this isn't fun. Like, so it's like such a clear identification of where you no longer are because you've grown out of it and you've evolved in this and this and this. You don't blame the frat people, but you just are like, I'm just no longer there. And it's almost like they're bringing us into this realization, into this like current energy of where are you? So, like, I can say personally for me, Christmas was again great, but super stressful. Amazing because my mom went like crazy, like, made it so special for us. But, like, my dad hated Christmas and like they weren't together. So we had to go back and forth. And it was like, it brought up different things. And then you knew you're like in your heart, you're like, oh my gosh, like, can we afford this? Like why is everybody so stressed, right? But it's like, but we're happy, but we're not.
Yeah.
And I think it's like this amazing like light that's being shone on this and saying, you literally have the Christmas like bowl or cauldron in front of you and you get to create whatever you want in it. And they're literally saying, do you want old programming or is that going to be left for next year? Because it's still going to come up. And the more that we evolve, the more it's going to feel like we're at a frat party because it's like, this doesn't resonate anymore. The stress of it, that like the craziness in the malls and the financial with this and that doesn't resonate anymore. And we're seeing more and more things like people volunteering or adopting a family and getting families involved in that. And like we're seeing a change in how we want to create such a magical time. Because if it's a magical time, is it a consumerist? Well, maybe a little bit. Like I really like getting gifts for people. I like receiving gifts, but it's like that's in its own energy. Does it have to be stressful or is it within your like boundaries of how you want to create the joy that's available? And it is a magical time. It's truly a magical time. It's a time of change. There's a bunch of stuff, but it's like, it's almost like they're showing me that they brought the big wave up and we're riding the wave and then we're right on the end. And like December is something that we can just like sail and you get to choose. Do you want to sail the wave over December and just like take in the joy, choose the energy, put in the cauldron exactly what you want? And then January, it's not like we're going to crash, but then we're going to come down and see, okay, now exactly where are we going? Right? There's going to be so much more decision making and action forward after Christmas. So literally the month of December is like this beautiful wave that have the perfect ability to ride with the energies, but it's just like, what do you want to bring with you? What is the frat party that shouldn't be at anymore? Like what is the old programming that so doesn't align anymore? And like give yourself permission to say, that's not my Christmas or that's not my holiday or for whomever like celebrates this. It's the magical time, but how do you want it to look for you? You have the ability to do it. That was a lot. Sorry.
That was great.
Like
That
it.
was bang on, and I feel that 100%. It's totally that. It's choose. It always comes back to choice, though, right? Like the
What
more
do you
conscious
want?
in the movie again, the
What
Notebook.
do you want? The Notebook.
We're gonna have to change our show to "What Do You Want?"
What do
Yeah.
you want? What are you bringing with you and what are you leaving behind?
Yeah, honestly, but it's so very true, and I think that's a beautiful point to make in all of it, all of the energies right now, the ways it's showing itself, and moving into the holiday season. I think that's bang on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I feel like I talked a lot this week. Sorry,
That's
lady.
great.
Oh, it's good.
Loved it. It was good. All right.
Cool.
Anything else, ladies? Anything else sticking out for you that Spirit wants to say?
Have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have some fun. Right? We're moving into the fiery, but that doesn't have to be like fiery. It can be like
Passionate,
yeah,
creative.
have some fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I did see, hold on. I did make a note of one thing I wanted to mention. Let me just find it here. It was really beautiful about exactly that. Okay. So, um, yesterday, so Thursday, Mercury joined the sun in Sagittarius. We're in Sagittarius right now, fire sign, which opens up a new theme in communication. Openness, honesty, and optimism are key, which is kind of what we were talking about. This can be a very positive and fun energy if you flow with it well. When you're in your flow, progress can happen instantly. Opening up and trusting life and expanding your perspective lifts you into more of your potential. So it can exactly be that fun,
Totally.
positive, and so on, depending on what you choose.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
No, I
That's
know.
so cool how it all just comes together.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. All right.
Awesome, ladies.
Well,
Well, enjoy the rest of your Friday.
yeah, you too, you guys, and everybody else watching. Thank you for joining us as always. If you're enjoying this video and our series, please do hit subscribe and like and share, all that goodness. And also do check out avalonspirit.com for any other deeper dives of expanding your own consciousness in the many different offerings that we have there as well. And do send us ideas for things you want us to talk about. If you're curious about a theme or a topic to do with the spirit world, energy, anything like that, let us know because we are happy to dive into those things too. So,
And be sure to catch Ginette by her podcast every Monday. It's
oh, thank you.
amazing.
That was very sweet. All right. Thanks so much,
All right,
everyone.
have a good week.